Hello, everyone. I'm Chandra Scott, and welcome to the 25-26 NSLP application training. All school authorities participating in the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program are required to complete an annual renewal application at the beginning of the school year. The purpose of the application is to continue the SFA's single permanent agreement between Louisiana Department of Education and the SFA. It is also the tool for LDOE to collect annual program-specific information. The CMP website will be open this week for all SFA sponsors to complete their school year 25-26 application. All forms can be accessed through the CMP website. The deadline for submitting the new application is August the 31st, 2025. SFAs must complete the annual renewal application by the deadline date. To access the 25-26 application, you will need to log into the website, enter your login name and password. Click the orange login button. Once you are logged into the website, you will see the Child Nutrition Program homepage. Click on the School Food Service Green tab on the upper right side of the screen. Next, you will click Forms in the green shaded left-hand menu. During this webinar, our areas of the 25-26 school year application will be discussed. Please contact the state agency if you need additional assistance or have questions when completing the forms. Information on some forms within the application will populate into other forms on the application, so it is important to complete them in the following order. The required online forms are as follows: requirements, policy checklist, the Schedule A, collection procedures, collection officials, and the income and expense report. SFAs do not complete the waivers as we are currently do not have any waivers available. The requirement form consists of 4 sections. All 4 sections of this form must be completed by the head of the organization or authorized representative of your organization before entering data into the Schedule A. To check to see who is listed as the authorized representative for this step, in the CMP site, you're going to click Authorized Contacts on the SFS Green tab. CMP Permanent Agreement Acknowledgement, you would type in I agree and then enter in the user ID and password. The user ID and password enter must belong to the authorized representative of the organization. Program year agreement, you would type in I agree and then enter in the user ID and password. The user ID and password entered must belong to the authorized representative of the organization. SAM.gov verification. To participate in child nutrition programs, the sponsoring organization must provide documentation showing they have a unique ID number associated with their SAM.gov registration. The unique ID number type must match the numbers that are previously sent to the SFA, sent to LDOE by your organization. If the two do not match, an error will just be displayed. An error will prevent the sponsor from completing the application. You can check to make sure the two numbers match by completing the following steps in the CMP website. Click the gray Home tab box in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Then on Administration, you're going to click on Sponsors and then Sponsor Information. Now you will see the SAM.gov UID that is listed in the CMP website for your agency. The information on this screen can only be changed by the state agency. CN data sharing agreement, you would type in I agree and then enter the user ID and password. The user ID and password entered must belong to the authorized representative of the organization. Once all requirements have been completed, There will be a check mark next to each requirement with a date and the name of the person that completed it. The status will then show complete. Next is policy checklist. The policy checklist is a list of the extension policies in current year prototype form. For continuing school authorities, it will be used to renew the agreement with the state of Louisiana for participation in the School Food Service SFS program. Question 1 is the program pricing or non-pricing. SFAs will select from pricing, non-pricing, both pricing, and non-pricing. RCCIs with no day students, non-pricing. RCCIs with day students select both pricing and non-pricing. The only RCCS sponsor in the state of Louisiana has day students is the Louisiana School for the Deaf. All SFAs that process meal application do not participate in CEP at any site will select pricing. SFAs that participate in CEP system-wide will select non-pricing. SFAs that are partially participate in CEP will select both pricing and non-pricing. Question 2, public release. This is required for all SFAs that are pricing and both pricing and non-pricing. This question can be left blank if the SFA is non-pricing only. SFAs will also indicate if the SFA is using the most recent prototype provided by the state. Question 3, income eligibility guidelines for free and reduced meals. This question is required for all SFAs. SFAs will indicate if the SFA is using the most recent prototype provided by the state. Question 4, free and reduced price meal documents required for pricing and both pricing and non-pricing SFAs. A selection is required for all parts A through D. This section can be left blank if the SFA is non-pricing only. Question 5, menu options required for all SFAs. There is nothing that needs to be checked or marked in this section by SFAs. Upon the submission of the SFA is agreeing that the meal types are accurately identified on the Schedule A for each site and the meal requirements for breakfast, lunch, and after-school snack follow the USDA regulations. Question 6, audit requirements. This is required for all SFAs. Part A, regarding receiving $750,000 or more in federal funds, the SFA will answer yes or no. Part B, if Part A is yes, then Part B should be yes. Part C, all SFAs must provide the most recent financial period that has ended. Part D, to be completed if the SFA does business under another name. Next is the Schedule A. The Schedule A consists of 5 parts: sponsor meal info, documents and certifications, site participation list, site meal info, and severe need eligibility. The sponsor meal info contains several sections: average meal cost, student breakfast and lunch charges, other meal charges, after-school snack charges, food service management company, RCCIs only, software use, PLE, and CEP participation. The average meal cost section will look a little different than previous years. For a more accurate meal count, the formula that will be used to calculate the average meal cost will now include total food costs, commodity values, performance-based reimbursement, and the total number of meals served. The calculation below will be used: total food costs plus commodity values plus performance-based reimbursement, the 9 cent, divided by the total number of meals served. On the NSLP application in Schedule A, SFAs will need to enter the total food costs for the school year and the total commodity value. The 9 cent performance-based reimbursement and the total number of meals served will be populated in from your claims. The system will then calculate the average meal cost. As a reminder, non-program and adult meals must exceed this value unless non-federal funds will be supplemented to different. Please take into consideration that the average meal cost may be lower this year due to not calculating in the way it used to be calculated in the past. If so, it's okay for it to be lower. You don't have to go lower. student breakfast, student lunch and other meals and after-school snack charges, enter in student breakfast charges, student lunch charges and other meal charges, employee and at costs, and after-school snack charges. For reduced price meals, please refer to House Bill 1 that contains the appropriation for House Bill 282 regarding reduced price meals in Louisiana. This bill was signed into law on June the 29th, 2023. So in this section, if the SFA has reduced meals, you will enter in zero for reduced prices. If the SFA operates after-school snack program and is system-wide CEP or is an RCCI, leave blank zeros and provide the at-cost charge only. At-cost snack charge must be no less than the current year free federal reimbursement rate for snacks. In the next section, if you contract with the food service management company, please enter each contract. Only charter school SFAs use a food service management contract need to report this information. Each company in use should be reported with the duration of the contract. Time frame of 1 year is reported. The next section is for RCCIs only. Flexibility to RCCIs when multiple grade groups are in place. RCCIs need to select yes if using large group, grade group maximum allowed portions such as the nature 12 for all grade groups. The software use, all SFAs must answer this section. If an electronic software system is used for POS and or meal application, SFA must indicate the name of the software. Page lunch equity PLE exemption required for all other SFAs. SFA has the following option to choose from. 1, SFAs did complete PLE. This means SFAs does not qualify for the exemption. 2, exempt system-wide CEP or RCCIs with no day students. 3, exempt SFAs with the positive or a zero balance in NSFSA as of June 30th, 24. The dollar amount must be entered by the SFA that is selected. If exempt, positive or zero balance in the NSFSA as of June 30th, 2024, system will allow for a zero balance to be reported or a positive balance. USDA Paid Lunch Equity Guidance Memo and Tool can be found on the CNP website. In the next section, the SFA will choose if participating in CEP district-wide or not district-wide or no participation. Schedule A, documents and certification includes the following: SAM.gov registration, unpaid meal charge policy and documentation, SFA procurement code of conduct, certification and documents, SFA procurement procedures, certification and documents, SFA higher threshold certification and documents, wellness policy certification and documents, and HACCP certification and documents. For the SAM.gov registration, SFAs will enter in the SAM.gov ID and enter in the expiration date. The SFA will also need to attach the proof of the registration is in good standing. Please check to make sure the documents attached for SAM shows an active date. If it is expired, the application cannot be processed until the new document is received. For unpaid meal charge policies, SFA Code of Conduct, Procurement Procedures, SFA will select yes or no for each. Please note the SFA is just certifying that they have these documents. Documents are not actually submitted to LDOE. The SFA Higher Threshold Certification. If the SFA chooses to self-certify, they must self-certify annually. For this section, SFA will choose no to decline using the higher threshold or yes if they want to use the higher threshold. If the SFA chooses yes, then they have to choose what option they qualify for. Please refer to Memo SP-02-2022 for more information. It is also linked on this section of the application. As stated in Memo SP-02-2022, Program operators choosing to self-certify must prepare and include a justification for this choice. The self-certification must include a justification, clear indication of the threshold, and the supporting documentation of any of the following. One, a qualification as to a low retiree, a low risk RT, and in accordance with the criteria 2 CFR 200.520. Two, annual internal institution risk assessment to identify, mitigate, and manage financial risk. Or three, for public institutions, a public threshold, a higher threshold consistent with state law. In this section, if the SFA chooses one of the yes option, they must provide threshold, which for Louisiana is 30,000 max, as well as a justification and supporting documentation. For example, if you choose a qualification as a low risk RD, you will need to attach the proof of low risk RD. As a reminder, Louisiana has a state law for higher thresholds. So if the SFA chooses the third option, the LDO memo SFS-22-X183 has already been attached in the documentation of the application. As stated on the USDA memo, this option will be for public institutions. For wellness policy and HACCP, the SFA will select yes or no for each. This site participation list will have all of the sites within the SFA. All accurate sites will have a green check mark. Any inactive sites will have a red X. At the bottom of the list, there will be a total of active and inactive. The list will also include the site codes, the kitchen managers, operating days, meal served, and meal service information that was entered in on each site meal info page. Under the site meal info for the site, it will provide the site name, address, site code, racial and ethnic data. It would also provide if the site is eligible for free snacks and severe need breakfast. You will need to check the box if the site will not be participating. Site meal info operating at multiple locations. Does this site operate at more than one location? This is when you have a one site name, but more than one physical location. We had this issue arise when conducting administrative reviews where a site was chosen for review, and when the reviewer came out on site, there was actually another physical site location that was that we were not aware of. So in this scenario, the SFA will need to enter the additional location details to include the school name, the address and city, parish, and the grades. Schedule A site meal info. The SFA will select the site where the manager is located and then check the box indicating the institution has reviewed and affirms the below selected central kitchen site. In the next section, you're going to enter the kitchen manager's name for each site. The SFA will certify that the manager meets all state requirements to work as a manager in a food service operation and has been adequately trained and is competent in all USDA program requirements, including but not limited to the following: operation of food service, meal pattern requirements and offer versus serve, has sanitary code, food service safety, proper food handling, proper use of equipment, personnel management, record keeping and accountability, accurate point of service, meal counting and claiming, absolute knowledge of component and quantity requirements of reimbursable meals and requirements and determination of student eligibility for any meal served and claim for reimbursement, and also processing of free and reduced meal applications. In the next section, SFAs will choose the congressional district and BESI district if it is not already selected. Enter in the number of operating days. SFAs are required to enter in the school operating hours. This section is mandatory. The next section is only for SFAs operating the expanded learning time. This section will be used to determine if snacks can be served before the end of the school day. As a reminder, you must operate at a minimum of 7 hours of instructional time. in order to qualify for expanded learning. Please refer to previous memo SFS-22-X171 and SFS-23-137 for more information on after-school snacks operational expanded learning. Under the special circumstances section, if the school has a child daycare area or is an RCCI, select the appropriate type and select age range. Under accredited school type, the accredited school type for this school has been determined by the lead system. SFAs cannot edit this information. However, if you feel there's an error with the grade range, please contact LDOE staff. Under the meal pattern, under the meal participation section, click on the check boxes below to select child nutrition program for this site. Anticipate participating in for the upcoming school year 25-26. If this site is eligible to participate in severe need breakfast, the checkbox will be enabled. Otherwise, it is disabled and cannot be selected. Enter the number of estimated students to be served for each meal service and select the time the meal starts. If this site has multiple meal shifts, be sure to input the information in shift 1, 2, 3, and 4. If this site does not have multiple shifts, enter your data in shift 1. You will then enter the time the meal served. If you need additional space, enter in the sponsor comment box. As a reminder, breakfast should be served near the beginning of the day, and lunch will occur between 10 and 2. Choose the collection procedure for each program. Note, make sure if you choose to implement the after-school snack program that you choose the type of enrichment activities at this site. After-school snack must be served after the school day has ended unless you qualify for the expanded learning time, which SFAs would need to certify in the section above. Under the offer versus serve section, SFAs will select if they will participate in OVS for breakfast and lunch. SFAs will answer if the staff has been trained, and the date of the training will need to be entered. Note, OVS training must take place before the start of the program. There is nothing SFA need to complete in this section. This section includes state attendance factor. The school year 25-26 state attendance factor is 92.20%. Unless a customized attendance factor is requested by the SFA, the default will be the state's currently approved attendance factor, with the exception of residential child care institution or CCIs, which will have attendance factor set at 100%. SFAs may use the annually determined state attendance factor or may calculate custom attendance factor. If an SFA wishes to utilize a custom attendance factor, the attendance factor form must be completed. This form can be found on the CNP website under General School Food Service Forms. As a reminder, please make sure to update the attendance factor in your software system. In the meal service section, select the correct meal service option for the site. If the site participates in any type of mobile meal service, please select the types for the site. Severe need eligibility. This section lists all schools facility for the school food authority with eligibility based on student lunches served in the second preceding year 2024. In the eligibility column, yes, Y is eligible and N is not eligible. In the checked in Schedule A column, a green check mark means that the site was marked in the current Schedule A 2026 as interested in participating in severe need breakfast for the upcoming program year 2026. Next, collection procedures. The collection procedure form allows you to create multiple point of service POS collection procedures, provide details about the procedures, and designate schools, facilities that use them. The initial page is a list of all existing procedures for each meal, breakfast, lunch, and snack. This list does not contain any procedures until you create them, allowing you to create as many as few as you need. However, each meal service must be assigned at least one collection procedure to each meal service for each site submitted in the Schedule A. The procedure must describe how and where a site counts each reimbursable meal, the collection of funds, and the location of the point of service. Also, the number of collection procedure will vary based on the following: CEP versus non-CEP sites, the meal service at each site, breakfast, lunch, after school snack, the complexity of the point of service, whether the site has alternate meal service option, breakfast in the classroom, etc. Collection procedure roll over from year to year, and SFAs can submit the same procedure used in the previous school year if no updates are required, as well as create new or existing procedures. To add a collection procedure, you're going to click on Add. After adding a collection procedure, this pop-up window will appear. Answer the questions and then click Save. Next, collections officials. The collection official form consists of one page. This is where the sponsor user will provide information on determined official, pre-verifying official, confirming official, verifying officials, and the hearing official. If you designate kitchen managers for each site to be the determined official, then you would check the box. Here's a chart of some reminders about the collection officials. Determined officials can be more than one person. This is the person that checked the meal application for completeness and also assigns and records the free reduced status on the application. Pre-verifying officials can be more than one person, cannot be the determined official, can be the software system, confirm accuracy of the original free reduced pay status on the application selected for verification. The verifying official can be more than one person, can be the determined officials or the pre-verifying official, but not all three. This person completes the annual verification process. And finally, the hearing official. Generally, only one person does this job, and it cannot be the determined official or the pre-verified official, and cannot be involved in any way with the approval of verification or application. Usually, it's the CEO, the CFO, or the superintendent that hear any appeals resulting from the verification process. SFAs do not complete the labor expense. Next is the income and expenses. The income and expense report will look slightly different from previous years. However, the form consists of the same information. The income and expense form consists of page 1, your income and reimbursement, page 2AB, expenses and food use, labor and benefits, page 2CDE, equipment, other direct costs, indirect costs, page 3, net cash resources on June 30th. Page 4, allowable operating balance and review. The information entered on this page is for the previous program year, so SFAs are entering income and expenses from school year 24-25. This is the only form that you will enter in the prior year's information. Enter the dollar value as reported on your system's statistical report. Do not use dollar signs or commas. Text boxes that have been grayed out cannot be edited. These fields have been populated from other forms. The computer calculates all values in the total column. Note, please refer to Louisiana Accounting and Uniform Governmental Handbook, LAF, for more information on the income and expenses codes that are used in this form. Income page 1 includes item 1A, prior year end of year balance. Enter in the prior year end of year balance. Item 1B, total federal reimbursement. The total federal reimbursement reflects reimbursement received from NSLP, SBP, and after school snack over the past year, July 1 to June 30. If SFAs participate in an SSO, these reimbursements should also be included. SSO is an extension of NSLP, SBP, included in SFS claims total. Do not include SFSP, summer feeding, fresh fruit and vegetable, or CACFP reimbursement. USDA cash in lieu of commodities, enter amount if you receive cash in lieu of commodities if applicable. Equipment grant funds. Enter amount received in the equipment grant funds received during 24-25 school year if applicable. To check the amount reported for items 1B, total federal reimbursement, in the CMP site, click Claims on the SFS Green tab. Click on Claims and then View Claims. Use the drop-down box to access the prior year program year. Click on Last Claim Field, paid, usually May or June. As a reminder, this includes SSO claim if you participated. Click the Review tab. Look at the total amount paid in program year 2025 at the bottom of the Review tab. This amount should be entered in 1B, total federal reimbursement. 1C, payments from meals. 1D, income from extra sales. 1E, state funds. That includes state funds, MFP. Other revenues such as across the board pay raises. State reimbursement for HB1 ACT 305 provision. State funds, PIP funds. 1F, transfer in funds received from school boards general funds that will not be paid back. 1G, other income. 1H, total income and reimbursement. This will be auto-populated. 1I, value of USDA donated commodities. 1J, total income and reimbursement values of commodities. This will also be populated. Expenses are split between two pages, 2AB and 2CDE. Only purchases made with school food service funds should be documented in this form. Purchases made for SFS with other funds should not be reported. RCCI's additional calculation need to allocate expenses for cost of reimbursable breakfast, lunch, and meal service since RCCI's provide all meals to residents. Please make sure you don't include summer feeding, fresh fruit and vegetable, and CACFP in this. 2A, food used, includes purchased food, USDA donated foods. On page 1, the SFA reported the value of USDA donated commodities received for use. On this page, the SFA report the portion of USDA donated commodities actually used. 2B, labor benefits, enter in amount for each applicable line item. Continue with the expenses. 2C, equipment. 2D, other direct costs. 2E, indirect costs. Enter in each amount for each applicable line item. 2F, total expenses. Compare the total expense reported in item 2F to the total income reported on page 1J. Total income must be equal to or greater than the total expenses. If it's the other way around, you'll be receiving a phone call from us to make the corrections. Net cash resources. Net cash resources on June 30th. RCCIs do not complete this portion of the form, left as zeros. Enter in the amount of applicable line items. Net cash resources can be limited as listed as zero if applicable. Allowable operating balances. RCCIs do not complete this portion of the form. CNP site calculates and populates this information. The CNP website determines if a corrective action plan is needed. A corrective action plan is needed if the net cash resources exceeds the calculated 6-month average expenses. Note, federal regulation states 3 months. However, we have been approved for 6 months. The corrective action plan should include how, when the funds will be used, allowable purchases. As stated previously, the CNP website determines if a corrective action plan is needed. The excess cash net resources amount will be listed. If a corrective action plan is needed, the SFA will enter in the spend down plan and the application into the application. To begin, click the Add button item, then enter estimated cost to spend the excess cash. Add the item's description, unit, estimated cost, and time frame. As you add items, the amount of excess remaining will begin to decrease. Continue adding items until the excess remaining reaches zero. If no spending plan item are entered, there is an error message on the Submit Form page. If there are items, but the estimated cost does not cover the excess cash, an error message will appear and you will not be able to submit the application. Only new SFAs need to complete the menu certification. However, we do have a handful who still submit the menu certification. This should not be submitted only for new SFAs coming aboard the program. After completing each of the forms, you will go to submit forms. All the forms you have started will appear in the list. If the checkbox next to the form is enabled, you can submit the form by clicking the box next to the form. A green check would appear. If an error appears and the box is disabled, you cannot click in it. This form is not ready for submission. You will see the message at the bottom that says submission of NSLP form is not permitted at this time. A list of items that remain to be completed will appear under the respective form name. If the form must be completed for each school facility, its item remain to be completed will also be listed by site. If you still receive the submission of NSLP form is not permitted at this time message, you would have to check all the boxes for the forms listed. Then you would have not started the requirements. That's normally where the problem occurs sometimes. Forms only appear at the in the list after they have been started. You must also go back and complete the form. Here's a screenshot of an application that is not permitted at this time due to misinformation. Once you complete all the necessary forms and corrections, you should be ready to submit. Please check. Please click in all the check boxes next to form that need to be submitted to the state agency and then click submit. After you submit it, LDO nutrition support staff will review the application for completeness. Your agency will be contacted if the changes, updates are needed after the application is completed. Then you will receive an approval letter. It will be sent to the superintendent and the authorized rep via email. Please note the application goes through 3 levels of review. So that's why it's important that you submit your application within a timely manner. It may take up to 2 weeks to process and receive application. So please submit the application in a decent time frame. SFA must submit the application by the due date to allow time for LDO staff to process and approve. As a reminder, SFA cannot submit the claim until the application is approved. If you have any questions or comments, you can type them in the check box, or you can contact us through child nutrition programs at la.gov. Please note that a memo will be posted when the application is open. We will plan to have the application open by the end of the week as long as there are no issues. Are there any questions? Okay, the average meal cost will be built into the form, and we have a memo available. The memo was posted on July 16th, 2025. It's memo SFS 25-072. Let's see. In the previous years, the average meal cost calculation included total expenses, which may have skewed numbers, resulting in a higher average meal cost for many SFAs. For more accurate meal costs, the formula that will be used to calculate the average meal cost will now include total food cost, commodity value, performance-based reimbursement, and the total number of meals served. The calculation will be used the one that I listed in the PowerPoint divided by the number of meals served. On the online application in Schedule A, SFA will need to enter the total food costs for the school year and the total commodity values, the 9-cent performance-based reimbursement, and the total number of meals served will be populated from your claims. The system will then calculate the average meal cost. As a reminder, non-program and adult meals must exceed the value unless federal funds will be supplementing the difference. Now, if you like, you can call us individually so we can go over this information if you have further questions. Okay, that concludes our presentation. If you have more questions, please reach out to us. Have a great day.